Dusk the Viking here. We're finally going to talk about the August update, also known as the Phasmophobia exposition patch. We're going to go down this thing in order, and I'm just going to give all my impressions and opinions about what I think about this patch, what it has done for Phasmophobia. First up, the sprint rework. One of the biggest things I like about the sprint rework is that it has taken some of the tedium out of the game, which is fantastic. Games are supposed to be fun. I love challenging games, or I love challenge specifically in replayable games like Phasmophobia and these. Other games, I don't like difficulty, and I turn the difficulty down because I want an easier game experience in other games. But in Phasmophobia, I like a more difficult experience because it makes you worry and struggle more, and that tends to give you more of an immersive gameplay experience. You have to fear, death a lot more, and that's the part I enjoy. Not so much overcoming the crazy challenge, but the constantly having to be fearful. Like, it's a horror game, and I'm playing it for that experience. Now, the sprint rework detracts from that experience a little bit, because it does give you a short dash to, help break line of sight and get away from these ghosts, and on a smaller map, this is really powerful. Now, to compensate, they have increased the acceleration of ghosts, and they have lowered the hunt delay from 5 seconds to 3, but I believe this got changed to 4 in one of the recent changes, so they eased back on that a little bit. But yeah, so this is what we have in here. Overall, I really like it, and I'm glad to see that there was a buff to the ghost to help offset this, and I think that's important. For the pacing of the game, for the atmosphere of the game. You need to feel like you're in danger. You need the threat of the game to feel like a threat. Otherwise, it's not, right? So, overall, this does make the game easier, but it removes so much tedium from the game, just like being able to get from the van to the house, that has made that part of the game so much better to play. And when you're making a game, fun kind of trumps everything else, right? That makes the most sense here. Also, there's one little interesting tidbit that I think a lot of people have probably glossed over, and that's the fact that a sprint creates these highs and lows in your movement patterns, which will create windows, which means that how you use your sprint could be important, which means this might open things up for more strategic gameplay and potentially additional depth to the game. Now, as it stands right now, that aspect of the sprint is probably not going to be utilized because Phasmophobia is still a little bit too much on the easy side, even on the professional difficulty. So no one will probably have to think. You probably are safe to just blow your sprint indiscriminately and use it to get away from the ghost and not really care about, how or when you sprint. So overall, I think the sprint rework is fantastic. It adds fun to the game. It removes tedium from the game. And it has the potential to, down the road, bring in some additional depth. I think this is a great change. Good job. All right, now let's move down to some of the new things that they added. 2 new ghosts, the Goryo and the Myling. The Myling, I like. The teasers and the behavior kind of match the lore of the ghost. With the way, like, that a child might be kind of like blah, 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 and like rambly and, active and making noise and all that stuff until you get its attention, or until that, you have that child's focus, and then it's quiet all of a sudden, right? Because it's focused. And so that was kind of fun, and I like the behavior and the lore that fits with that. The Goryo, I don't like, because the lore and the background and the behavior of the ghost is nonsensical. This is a ghost that is known for earthquakes and tsunamis. It's a natural disaster ghost. So this is basically a Godzilla, is what this is. They put Godzilla in the game, in ghost format, and Godzilla is now knocking uh, drinks over in somebody's kitchen in Boston. Probably could have done a little bit better, but at the same time, it's kind of like, who cares? We probably don't want to split hairs too much where we're like, oh, well, actually, technically, a Banshee should probably do this, and, like, whatever, who cares? It's in the game. So I'm going to give Goryo a pass, even though I don't like it as much. I wish it was a little bit more representative, but at the end of the day, I think it's fine. Two new equipment, or a new equipment type, the dots projector. The dots projector is super fun to use. It slows the pacing of the game down a little bit more. It makes the investigation feel even more investigaty, to where you have to do long periods of time where you're like looking for movement, and you're utilizing your cameras more, because Sanity Drain is also more aggressive now, I've noticed. So you can't really just hang out inside and stare at the thing. So it's made the equipment feel more needed. And it's taken the investigation and made it feel more investigating. So it's immersive, it's fun, it helps paint a really good picture, and some of the interactions are really cool with it as well. So the dots projector, excellent addition. Electronic equipment will now alert the ghost to your position during ghost hunts, similar to a voice. This has been just absolutely wonderful, and this is what I talk about when I say you need something to help cause worry and stress. Because when I'm looking for a challenge in this genre of game, it's not because I'm just looking for like I'm a Dark Souls player. I'm not. I actually hate Dark Souls. Uh, but it kind of forces a bit more immersion. It gives you more worry and stuff like that. And this change did that so well, because you're running away from the ghost, right? It starts a hunt, you're running away from the ghost. You need your flashlight to see, but your flashlight is giving you away and attracting the ghost, so you have to flip it on and off as you go, and maybe bumble around in the dark, or you have to pull out a candle for a secondary electric-free light source, and it causes a lot more panic. And there were multiple times now already where I've went to take off from the ghost, and I just didn't want to accidentally flip my flashlight on, and I just throw my electronics on the ground. I don't know if the photo camera attracts the ghost or not. I've heard it does not, as long as it's cycled away. But I didn't do any testing initially for it, because I wasn't really worried about figuring it out. It was just fun and interesting to me that it might be attracting the ghost. So I had several moments where I just threw my camera down a set of stairs, and things like that, where I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I just kind of like threw my equipment away and then had to try and find it later. So that was just like a lot of really fun immersion. And it brings back some of that nuance that we had when Phasmophobia was new, right? There's all the unknown. And I think that's what I love about big patches like this that are overhauling some of these mechanics, is, you get to play around in the unknown again. So I'm always kind of even slow and hesitant to try and test it out. Because I don't want to know right off the bat. I want to go through the discovery of it, and I want the worry and the fear. How's this working? I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually over time, just by playing with it, of course. But for now, I'm going to enjoy the fact that I have a lot of unknowns that can help push the immersion. All right, so hunts now affect all electronic equipment with sounds and visuals. I think that's great. It's just fun immersion. Parabolic mic now allows for paranormal sounds. This is super depressing. Why is this super depressing? Because, man, I tried to champion the old parabolic mic. I was like, I'm going to figure this thing out and make it work. There wasn't really anything to make work, but I still had fun with it and played with it anyway a fair bit, until I got to the point that it just felt silly to carry around. but, so it's like, ooh, the parabolic mic is back. But so why is this so bittersweet to me if the parabolic mic, one of my favorite pieces of equipment, now does this cool thing? Well, it's bittersweet because I'm one of the very few people that the parabolic mic is bugged out for. It doesn't work. I don't get paranormal sounds. And it makes me so sad. Everybody gets all these cool, spooky things, and I'm just like, all it is just a set of numbers on a glass dinner plate for me. It's like, no, I want to hear these sounds so bad. But I assume that will get bug fixed. Dean Eider's pretty attentive to the bug fixes. He hammers them pretty relentlessly. So this will get fixed, and when it does, I'm going to love it. But for now, I'm sad about it. Head bob, you can enable or disable. That's nice. Choice is always good. All equipment minus sound sensors have new visual. Nice. That's wonderful. Post-processing effects for the CCTV. That's got a nicer, cleaner look. I like the new CCTV. You can turn film grain off if you think it's too blurry and you want a clear image. If you like that, that kind of immersive, your ghost pictures are always blurry feeling, then you can turn your film grain on. So again, choice is really nice. This gives you a lot of choice, and it looks really cool and shiny and new. So I really like that. So for the most part, all the new stuff, except for a few little caveats, all of this stuff is great. Changes. All ghost types have had their evidence, shuffled around because we have a new projector, or we have a new tool, the dots projector, and it would be really weird if there was only one ghost that had that evidence type. So, they just shuffled it all around, which was just intelligent game design, so that was good. Your equipment and things that are affected by the ghost are only within range of the ghost. This is way cooler than it maybe sounds at first, and I had a good first-hand experience where I was milling around inside one of the buildings, and I did not realize that the hunt had started, and everybody else went quiet because the ghost was hunting. And I walked out toward, I want to say it was on like a farmhouse or something, and I walked out and was heading down the hallway to like a living room or a main area or something, and the lights were all like flashing, and I was like, what the heck? And then I got a little bit closer, my flashlight started to get all weird, and I was like, oh no, I'm in the middle of a hunt. So I had that moment of panic, and we throw the flashlight and we run for a hiding spot, right? So that made for a super fun moment. So this I love. At the end of the day, too, like I said, we had some challenge removed with the sprint rework, but here we've had some challenge added back in here, and with stuff like this is a little sprinkle of challenge and worry and fear. So, like, for me, this is a net gain as well. I really appreciate a lot of these changes that are adding, like, a bit of difficulty, but not only just difficulty, but things that create worry and panic and kind of help induce that immersion, that make the horror game more horrifying, right? So love all of it. For me, this is making the game where I can kind of dive into it all over again. Just so far, absolutely loving all of this stuff. I wanted to keep going, though, which, of course, thankfully, we've got all the way through to Horror 2.0, which probably won't be out till, I'm going to say that, 6 months to a year to complete Horror 2.0. There is a lot of stuff in there. I do think we'll get another patch in October, just purely speculation on my part, but, it's a horror game. Who doesn't want to drop a big update in October, right? Just kind of seems like a no-brainer to predict that. It won't be Horror 2.0, but I'm sure it'll be something fun and cool, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, keep all this going. Like, this methodology, this thought process, this design philosophy, it's all brilliant, and I'm loving all of it so far. Random ghost footprints can only be heard with the parabolic mic. I hear that's really cool. Man, I sure wish I could hear things with my parabolic mic. Glow stick change. This is now 60 seconds, and the glow stick doesn't completely expire now, but it does go down to being very, very dim. This was a necessary change because ghosts affect electronics. And you don't want the glow stick to become the new meta flashlight because it's really bright now. It's really nice. I love the glow stick change because it broadcasts a lot of light. And since it lasts 60 seconds, it's a good one-use tool. You can use it in a hunt as a makeshift flashlight, but then after that, you're probably done. And, because it's going to burn out and it's going to be very small and no longer a good light source. But you can still use it to check for fingerprints. But when it's fresh and glowing bright, you can also still use it to check for fingerprints, and it throws black light everywhere. It's really bright. So easier to use, more satisfying to use, and again, how I talked about with the sprint, where you have like windows that make you think about how you're using the item, that was kind of put into the glow stick here a little bit, so a sprinkle in a little bit of depth to the gameplay. So I absolutely love what's going on with the glow stick here. Spirit Box has some new icons on it, so you can tell when it hears you, but you don't get a return. You'll get a little X. You've got a microphone that will light up to let you know that your mic is active. And then it's got a little ghost icon that will let you know when the ghost replied. So you can push the button. It's like, okay, it's hearing my mic. You say something, and then an X comes back, and it says, it then also recognized the phrase that I said. But the ghost didn't respond to the phrase. Maybe because Spirit Box isn't the evidence, or because the ghost just doesn't feel like responding to that evidence, or that phrasing, yet. Right, so overall functionality is really good, and the Spirit Box is now also more friendly for the hearing impaired. So that is also a very nice thing to have in there. Let's see, several sounds have been replaced. They have. It's good. Infrared sensor functionality has been merged with the motion sensor. That was good. They were completely redundant to the point that you just didn't use one. You only ever used the other one. Lighting has been improved on most maps. That's very noticeable. Everything looks a lot better. Placement helper object has a new visual. I didn't really notice that, which means that it's probably doing its job. Volumetric lighting has been improved in all maps to reduce fogginess. I was so used to not liking the fogginess, I have it disabled. I don't know what that looks like, but this is the key phrase here. I like that. I might play around with the volumetric lighting a bit more. Let's see, when playing solo, you no longer have to use the push to talk button. It's turned off in the settings. Thank you. Haha. Solo players. So I like that. Ghost will no longer be visible at the start of the hunt until it starts moving. Again, a little sprinkle of extra challenge, a little bit of worry. Where's it hunting? So I love that. Fear. Player hand skin color will now match the character you're playing. That's better for immersion, and that just feels better. Tutorial has been updated with the new evidence and visual types. I didn't play the tutorial. Probably not going to, but I liked that was added. Very good, very good. The journal will now always be held in the left hand for VR players. Whoops. Parabolic mic can only be used when inside. I mean, you can equip it, but it doesn't turn on. Well, this change specifically is probably just so that you can't use it to find the ghost room before you even step into the house, right? Probably more what that's about. And then, some visual changes, some UI changes. It's just cleaning up the game and making it look a little sleeker. So far, I think I've liked everything. The UI looks pretty good. Everything's moving in a good direction. All that stuff. As far as fixes, here's the Show Us fix. This is one I covered on stream a little bit. Like I said, this was obviously a bug that was never intended, and of course it's an exploit. This is not a PvP game. The use of exploits or whatever aren't that big of a deal. If you were having fun with it, cool. Not a big deal, but there were some people that were championing this as an intended game mechanic, and I had to try and shoot some of those people down, and all I have to say is, I told you so. I knew this was going to get fixed. It was very obviously not intended. It's out of the game now. Yeah, like, of course that was not intended. And then a bunch of other bug fixes. Bug fixes are good. We're not going to go over them all because, well, they're just bug fixes. So, all right, that pretty much covers everything on the Phasmophobia exposition patch. Overall, huge thumbs up on this patch. It has added a ton of replayability. The game is way creepier now. It definitely has a bit more challenge to it. It's got some fun little depth, and it's just, it's just more fun to play. If you've been thinking about reinstalling Phasmophobia, and it's been a while since you've played, then here you go. This is currently live. There is no more beta branch. All testing is now being done internally. So when these patches come out, it's straight to live, and we all kind of play it together. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see ya in the next one.